Where in the world did an actual DDD player come from? We have some sharks for you today as well, and oh boy, Runick as well. Buckle up. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I cannot tell you the amount of times that we have looked at DDD of all things and went, how in the world, how have we come up to this deck? I'm not going to lie to you. I am an absolute terrible expert at analyzing this deck because the combo lines are intensive. You have to, I've seen the spreadsheet of DDD combos, all right? They're at least 30 tabs deep, and every hand is a completely different monster. But the things I can tell you about this list, you will toggle through all of your Gilgameshes extremely easily. The Herald of the Abysses is kind of interesting as a 3 of choice in here because you're not playing Thrust to be able to get into this, but this is something that you do need for the purely matchup. You're not getting away from this. All right. I also noticed that we're on an interesting 2 splash here. So we're on triple ash, we're on double droll, you're on your double bell here, and you're on double imperm. That's an interesting little splash here because it does give you some different option trees and things to kind of make sure that you can do your thing in terms of the hand trap ratios. Now, honestly, you could, if you really want to, you can cut like bells and try a third droll and a third imperm, but I don't think you really want to mess with that. Also, you are playing triple Pyres map. Don't try to cut this card. I'm looking at you. All right, there was one person that told me fairly recently they wanted to play DDD without Pyres map. I'm like, what are you doing? It's literally the best card in your deck. Like, literally, searching for Kepler is your deck. That is what you want to do. I'm also surprised that this deck doesn't really have counter methods in case of, you know, Droll and Lockbird itself, because I feel like Droll does inherently hurt this. You know, obviously, Dark Contracts, Kepler search here. I don't know. It's interesting just to kind of see what this deck can bring to the table. But I am very intrigued to see that Combo DDD did not run into Nibiru's, didn't run into any of the more major stop cards in the format, and it is kind of old school here to see that this pile of cards is actually functioning out here. So not too bad at the end of the day. So I'll clap for DDD. Sorry for like not the terrible best analyzation, but I think ratios are fine on this deck. All right, 43 cards is not going to hurt you for combo DDD at all. And you've got the one Go King Rage over here as well. So everything that you would want to see in this deck are all handed to you fairly easily. You've just got to learn what each different hand can give you for the combo lines. And I mean, you have a beautiful spread of hand traps here as well. So, I mean, you're playing 5 of them. So kind of keep that in mind at the end of the day. As long as you can fit in the ratios and, you know, start getting through the extra deck, and you're able to set up these huge resource bins for your opponent, or if your opponent just doesn't know where to choke you out, which probably will be the case. Hey, we have some sharks for you today. Now, Mini Aruka here has been, I have genuinely enjoyed seeing what this little TCG exclusive has done. So remember, when a water monster effect is activated, quick effect, special summon this card from your hand. So that's a free level 4 fish monster. And then you can banish one face-up fish, sea serpent, or aqua monster you control. Target one face-up card on the field, negate its effects until the end of this, or until the end of your opponent's turn. To be honest with you, it's just a free level 4 extender. That's literally the major thing here. I also want to give a shout out here to Beautiful Princess. While this card is been deemed like the absolute go-to for fish players, if this gets ashed, you're kind of left in a terrible position. And that's why I've seen a lot more people trying to stray away from this card, but this build only plays 2 of it, so that's not really going to be too much of a hassle at the end of the day. I mean, your deck is you're still doing the same things. You're Bahamut Sharking into the Toads, and then you're also following up with a Stealth Kraken. If you do see the goes and match, you're floodgating your opponent out of the game. Because remember, Mr. Stealth Kraken, all face-up monsters on the field become water. And guess what? It goes a match. Oh, well, you control a water monster. You've been floodgated out of the game. And it effectively means you can't do anything. And of course, this is one of the few decks in the room that can actually take advantage of Spiritual Water Art Aoi and get that free little hand rip away from your opponent. I don't know if you have learned this or not, as is tradition around here, but Spiritual Water Art Aoi, getting that free hand rip knowledge away from your opponent, does kind of end up being stupid good. Yeah, there's nothing else to really say about this list. I like this a lot. A Control Shark variant, at least, feels relatively strong. Also, shout out to the Book of Moons here. I mean, also you can sub-starter into this if need be. Hey. Wow, this is a lot. The Borders and the Majesty's Fiend. So when I first saw this list and some of the discussion points that were brought about this, I was like, Book of Moon is still a little bit of a problem. All right, so if we're committing a Border or a Fiend here, we might be running into some initial issues with this. I'm also not a huge fan of Imperm itself. I understand that, blink negating a threat so that you can actually set up a board can be good, but it's just, I guess you're trying to blink the column as well to play around things, but I feel like this is just a little bit more wasteful. Now, obviously, there are trying some little spicier extra deck options down here, like, a Border plus a Fiend makes, a Chaos Angel. Sure, you can do these sorts of things, but I feel like you're on the top shelf reaching just a little bit too much, trying out some of these more wild theories and things that you can do with Runick, when you can optimize a little bit better and try to maximize ratios a little bit more. We don't have a side deck for this list, but I mean, sphere modes, cards like that to make sure that, you can make the big bad demons go away across the table typically will be your main outlets. Outside of that, I don't see anything really too crazy about this list. It's cute for the things it wants to do, but I don't like some of those ideas. Also, no Pod Desire, very scary. Ooh, hey, we have some Tearlaments for you here, and of course, we have hi friend for time. How are you? We are playing the Skullmark Ladybug down here. Just send to the graveyard and increase your life points by 1,000. And you can hard Foolish Burial drop it if you really need to for time. You gotta love one-ofs. I've also noticed that Malicious is a cute little interaction piece back here for this deck, because you can actually make Dangerous Guy. Dangerous is just any Destiny Hero monster plus, a Dark Effect monster. So you kind of do get access to some of the little cheesier interactions with this. I mean, you still are RNG mill deck. All right, like we're not going to take that away from you. You still have to rely on those power mills to do your thing. So Malicious just kind of feels like one of the greater additions and things that you want to do. Also, this build's not playing Raysloth to toggle into the Tearlaments Kashtira. I feel like that could be something that would be a little bit more free for this particular build. Maybe little things to explore. We have all of our outs down here as well. Maybe Super Poly could also be something relatively interesting to explore in the main deck, but the way that this list feels, they wanted to make sure that they have access to the cards that they feel are going to be needed, especially I can see that in the Malicious up here as well. It's going to put another body on the field as well, and I mean, that is just one more stepping stone down here for, Grapha, because, free Dark Monster, hee, I can go ahead and Fusion Summon all day long and be just fine. And the last list we have for you here is actually some basic Labrynth. Now, full disclaimer here, I've been intrigued seeing how Labrynth is trying to evolve in the format. It is still going to be, always dubbed Eradicator.deck, because that's just how unfair this deck feels some days. Alright, but they've needed to find ways to kind of be a little bit more relevant in terms of ratios. And I have noticed that a lot more of these builds are only playing 2 Lady Labrynth. This is one of the best cards that the deck typically has going for it, but I have noticed that reduction in wanting to push this just a little bit. I think that's fine, alright? Cutting back on some of the fat to kind of optimize, your trap ratios. Main decking the skill drain, I think a few people might find a little bit weird, but let's call it what it is at this point in time. You're flipping this bad boy, you're offering your opponent the handshake, your opponent's looking at you and going, oh, thank you. I can't believe that you are the best duelist in the entire room here. And that's just kind of how it goes at the end of the day. So this is, by far, I think, one of your more recent innovations to what you're kind of expecting or seeing out here in terms of this deck. So, what do you think about the breakdown for these decks? Please leave a comment down below to tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.